All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies, we're just running a couple of minutes behind. But on behalf of the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to welcome you to the 2022 Municipal Debate. My name's Travis Blum. I'm the past chair for the Chamber Board of Directors. I'm also the chair of the Government and Civic Affairs Committee and a business owner here in Stratford, Ontario as a financial planner with IG Wealth Management. The Chamber of Commerce has had a presence in this community since 1860. It is our mission to be the prominent business organization and to be the voice of business by championing economic prosperity and an exceptional quality of life. In keeping with our history and objective to promote good government and sound legislation at all levels of government, the Chamber is proud to host this all-candidates debate for the municipal election being held Monday, October 24th, 2022. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to thank all of the candidates who are in attendance this evening and thank you for running. Running for political office is no easy feat, especially in 2022. And whether you get elected or not, we really do thank you for your efforts and for being here once again this evening. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for this evening. Sponsorship is a major part of what allows the Chamber to continue to contribute to and serve the business communities in Stratford, St. Mary's, and Mitchell, especially as we move through these current times economically. Thanks goes out to our gold sponsor, the Huron-Perth Association of Realtors, who are our official timekeepers tonight. So thank you to Gwen Kirkpatrick and Leslie Kipfer for being here this evening. Our silver sponsors, Fahm & Company, Duffy Burdett Lawyers, Orr Insurance and Investments, and last but not least, Scotiabank. Our goal this evening is to focus candidates on issues that are important, not just to the business community, but to the community as a whole here in Stratford. Our goal is to inform you as voters, and we want to promote transparency and accountability among elected officials. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce Eddie Matthews, the General Manager for the Chamber, who will also be the debate MC for this evening. Eddie is a well-known and trusted voice in our local community, and we are confident in his ability to once again help run a respectful all-candidates debate. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Eddie Matthews.
Thank you. Wow, confidence and me together, that just doesn't go hand in hand, does it? Thank you all for being here, and thank you all, and respectfully, if anybody needs a mask, we've got them up here, so if I encourage anybody to use them tonight, okay? Some councillors unable to make it this evening due to conflicts or illness, but we'll pass on our best regards for them. Thank you to Rogers for being here as well. We don't have a date yet that the program will be shown, but we've also got a live stream of this evening. If anybody wants to hook up to their phone right now, there's a link at our stratfordchamber.com site. We want to bring up the councillors right now, and we'll invite the councillors to start making their way up, and we'll go in alphabetical, first name, alphabetical order, and if we can get Alan Kapersky to come up to the stage, please, and use the center mic, and you've got 3 minutes, and we'll give all candidates up to 3 minutes to give us their platform. Mr. Kapersky, it's all yours.
Good evening. My name's Alan Kaspersky, and I'm a candidate for Stratford City Council in this month's election. You're going to hear a lot tonight from the candidates, but you're going to hear 3 words: accountability, transparency, and engagement. I'd like to focus on the last, engagement, by asking you a question. Who knows better the kind of community you want to live in, raise your family in, retire in, do business in, than you? There is no one. You have the answers to the kind of community Stratford should be. I believe in servant leadership. Servant leadership basically says that if I can lift you up, that lifts me up. So that's what I want to do. I want to be engaged as a full-time city councillor in Stratford, because that's what the job demands. It's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job if I'm going to be properly engaged with you. I will go and have monthly meetings in each of the 5 wards where we will meet together and do 3 things. Discuss the issues, because I'm willing to bet that as many challenges as you recognize, you've thought of some of the solutions. We'll discuss those things. I'll go away then, cost out the solution, figure out how long it's going to take, what other considerations are required or necessary, and then come back to you and let you make decisions. So we'll discuss, you'll decide, and then my job will be to go away and get it done. You tell me the kind of things you want done in Stratford, whether that's housing, homelessness, inequality, poverty, roads, economic development, climate resilience, it goes on and on. So I hope on October 24th, you start to think about who you want to vote for, and you make me one of those choices. I have a table set up in the far corner. If you'd like to get to know me a little better, I have my biography there on my website, and I hope that I can earn your trust and your vote during this election. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Bonnie Henderson. Come on up to the microphone. While she's doing that, for the people that also have masks, we also have rapid testing kits for free to all businesses at the Chamber office if you need them, okay? Bonnie, the floor is yours. You've got up to 3 minutes. And Bonnie, bring that microphone down and get up real close to it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shorter. Hi. My name is Bonnie Henderson. I have sat on City Council for several terms now, and I would like to continue to be your voice at the table. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother, and an aunt to many wonderful nieces and nephews, and know how important our daily routines are to them and to others in my city. I'm very passionate about accessibility, making our city even more accessible in the future by adding more sidewalks, curb cuts, to name a few things our advisory committee is working on. We recognize business, individuals, and groups who make a difference in our city every year during International Day of Persons with Disability at our December council meeting. The environment, I've been involved in that with Civic Beautification and Environmental Awareness Committee and Perth County Greenworks before I was even on City Council. And I will continue to work on your behalf by making our city produce less greenhouse gases. Our police have already started buying hybrid vehicles, and the city bought their first hybrid truck in the spring. Electric buses are now being researched. Our newest affordable house on Britannia Street is being built to LEED standards. We're not going to pay the fee for it, but because that's over $60,000, but we're going to build it. This was passed by all of City Council. It costs us a bit more, but it's worth it. Our newest attainable affordable housing is something we all talk about and worry about, and we need it in our city. Looking at different approaches are critical in helping to make this happen in our city. Currently, the city works with the province for funding and landlords to make more places for people to live. We're working on making permanent housing for those who are homeless, along with several other groups. Invest Stratford, along with the city, are currently using Engage Stratford to get ideas on where our residents see attainable housing needs being addressed in our future. I, as a councillor, just had a call from them before I came. Being on City Council is a real learning curve, but you can be rest assured that if our council finds something isn't working, they will work to fix it. You'll remember the MZO, and council voted to rescind this. Lessons learned is what works in our city, and what doesn't is very important as we move forward in the future. We do listen to our citizens and work very hard to try and make things the best we can so we can all enjoy living here during our work, life, and playtime. We need our city to be a wonderful place for everyone. I will continue to work for you as I'm approachable, dedicated, hardworking. Please vote for Bonnie to be your voice on Stratford City Council, and I look forward to working with new councillors. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Bonnie. While we're getting Brad up, can I get some other candidates up? I see Cody's back there. Tom if we can get you close to the stage, Daniel and Dawn as well, if you don't mind getting up. And right now, Brad Beatty, you've got 3 minutes.
Just give me 1 second here, Eddie. Close enough. Good afternoon, and thank you, Eddie, Shannon, and all the volunteers and sponsors for hosting this event. And thank you to all of you for coming here today. A question every candidate gets asked is, why are you running? There's always going to be a hot topic of the day. Honestly, this can change very quickly as priorities can change. I certainly didn't get up here 4 years ago and say that our council, along with the rest of the world, would be addressing a global pandemic. How quickly this became a top priority, and no one ever considered it. My simple answer to you, I'm a very proud citizen of Stratford. Always have been, always will be. To serve as a city councillor is a great privilege and one which I'm thankful for. We have much to celebrate. Stratford has a wonderful history, and today we are a community that is recognized as being a leader in so many ways. I firmly believe that going forward, we will continue to be seen as a city of the future. The achievements of our city do not lie solely with councils of the past nor of the future, but recognize that we all have a hand in making our city a better place to live, work, and play. The success that we enjoy comes with passion, hard work, dedication, and perhaps a little good fortune. Can you imagine what our city would be like if we didn't have the history of the CNR repair shop? This opportunity firmly put Stratford on the map, providing us with an economic engine. Now, this building and the land it sits on is an opportunity for future of Stratford. Although it's been a painful practice of patience, it is something that we can, with vision and action, translate into an amazing opportunity. Can you imagine what our city would be like if years ago the citizens of Stratford hadn't supported the idea of creating a board of parks? Would our quality of life we all enjoy today be so enviable? Today we have a park system that is constantly being recognized as one of our crown jewels. Can you imagine what our city would be like if Tom Patterson hadn't been sitting in that same park and gone to city council years ago asking for money to chase a dream? Who thought that back then that this idea would firmly make Stratford a destination for world-class theater? Can you imagine what our city would be like without manufacturing? We have innovative industries which have been successful in adapting and growing, and with a workforce that's envy of other communities. Stratford is not an either-or city. We can boast that we are a city where industry and arts combine. Can you imagine what our city would be like without caring citizens like yourself? Although City Council provides direction, it is through vision, dedication, and hard work of the people like yourself and our city staff that we get to enjoy this amazing quality of life. If you're looking for a candidate that recognizes that we are a better community because of what we all offer, that we celebrate our rich history, and that we work together for an opportunity of the future, then I should be your first choice on Election Day. And this first choice is where you will find me on the ballot. I ask that on October 24th, you re-elect Brad Beatty.
Thank you, Brad. And just an FYI for any of the candidates that don't feel comfortable coming up on stage, we do have a floor mic if you wanted to use that as well. Next up, Cody, come on up. Cody Seban, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd.
My name is Cody Seban. After growing up in Stratford, I went away to school for behavioral science and moved back after 4 years. My wife and I have 2 young children, aged 2 and 5. I'm a current member of Stratford City Council, and I also work as a rehabilitation facilitator, supporting people who are living with brain injuries. I have one main priority, and that is to represent you. I've worked as your city councilor for 4 years by being responsive to every email and phone call, hosting monthly meetings, and running with each of your issues as if it were my own. I want to continue to represent you when it comes to the big issues and the issues that affect you day to day. That's the role of a councilor. I'm a firm believer that government should spend money as if it were their own, and Stratford is no exception. During my 4 years on council, I've been vocal and consistent in my belief that council needs to set reasonable targets for tax increases while maintaining existing services. I oppose the recent 7.6% tax increase and will continue to advocate for lower tax increases because I believe we can do better. I believe we need a climate plan with teeth. We need smaller buses integrated into our transit system. We need more incentives for developers to build affordable and attainable housing, and to increase our supports for individuals experiencing homelessness. A vote for me is to demand the attention of your elected officials, not every campaign season, but on an ongoing and consistent basis. It isn't good enough to ask for public input after a decision is made. It isn't good enough when you, your neighbor, or your entire neighborhood don't feel they're being heard. You deserve to feel heard and to know your input is making a difference. Being accessible is key to representing people. That's why, if re-elected, I will continue to host monthly forums with the public to ask questions and provide feedback in an informal setting. For 4 years, I've been right alongside you, whether it was an issue at your home, on your street, or one that could change the course of the entire city. 4 years ago, I asked for your support and was so humbled by the amount I received. I'm here again because I believe there is much work to be done, and I continue to believe that you need a bigger voice and a bigger ear at City Hall. I have a plan, but I, Cody Seban, need your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. And if we can keep the candidates coming so we can move this forward, if we can get Jeff, Giza, and Harj to get up close to the table over here. And next up, Daniel, do you want to come on up before we get to Tom? Daniel Nadetsky, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd.
Oh, hi, everybody. Thanks so much for this opportunity. I'm Daniel Nadetsky. I'm born and raised here in Stratford, grew up here. My family is an immigrant family from the former Yugoslavia. We're actually Hungarians. It's a complicated history over there. Happy to unpack that later if you're interested. We're an East End family, embedded deeply in the manufacturing and construction, and proudly so. I'm the first one in my family to get a master's degree. I'm a licensed architect in Ontario and have reciprocal standing with the National Certification Board in the US as well. I received my bachelor's at Carleton University, my master's at McGill. I've engaged in research funded by the National Research Council of Canada in biomimetic design. I've been a research assistant to some notable academics looking at housing and solving homelessness in the Global South and even in our First Nations communities. And I've done a research residency at the Canadian Centre for Architecture. So I've built a career in public-private partnerships and trying to solve the housing crisis issue with work that I did with Sidewalk Labs and Google in the Sidewalk Labs development downtown Toronto, and then was sort of kept on to help them develop their technology and product. I'm now back in Toronto working, although living here, on more sort of large infrastructure and engineering projects throughout Ontario. I'm not really a politician. I'm kind of a background guy. I'm more interested in getting work done. I usually support other people and kind of work hard in the background. But I do think that younger people and people with more energy need to get involved in day-to-day civics. And so that's what brings me here. I think Stratford kind of needs to rebrand a bit from, 1 minute. From kind of a retirement community to a city that can offer young professionals a real human scale space to build their own families and their own careers without compromising. And I think ultimately we need to get back to building the future. We need to get back to the future in terms of thinking about how our 4 industries, the healthcare system, manufacturing, agrarian, and our tourism can sort of work together to create a better future. I think where I can contribute might be the obvious. It's in things like the Cooper site, infrastructure, housing. I think housing, we should stop thinking about it in terms of creating a perpetual renter class, but always providing an on-ramp to ownership in some way. And I think ultimately that a council member is a check on the mayor, and I think I can help toward that end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. And one of the candidates that is not feeling well, and I know some are looking at Tom Clifford off stage. No, Tom isn't coming back. Tom, would you mind coming back? Dave Gaffney is under the weather this evening. Tom wanted to speak on his behalf. Tom, on behalf of Dave, you've got 3 minutes.
Thanks, Eddie. Hello, my name is not Dave Gaffney, but I'm speaking on my friend's behalf with his permission. Dave planned to be here this evening, but as Eddie said, he's got COVID. Tonight I'm going to read his speech as if he had spoken it, so it'll be I instead of me. Born and raised in Stratford, I will use my knowledge of the city and my experience as a councillor to ensure I continue to act in your best interest. During the current term, I've served as Chair of Finance, my old job, and as a member of Infrastructure. I also served as the council rep on Invest Stratford and on Festival Hydro Services. I will do my best to represent the needs and aspirations of the citizens of Stratford. For more than 25 years, I volunteered on city committees and boards, including the YMCA, the Stratford and Perth Ag Society, the Board of Avon Housing Cooperative, the Parks Board, Heritage Stratford, Committees on Bloom, and Energy and Environment. He was busy. I enjoyed a 35-year career as construction engineer with our family company. This professional experience provided me with important insight into community development and at the same time honed my analytic and team building skills. His priorities: number one is the Grand Trunk Hub. His project will be a catalyst for partnership and innovation. Number two, public works and infrastructure. Proper infrastructure provides a platform for growth and development. I will bring experience and critical thinking when examining the projects proposed for the community. Economic development. There must be an effort to continue to attract manufacturing jobs to this community. At the same time, artificial intelligence and digital media are a big part of our present and our future. Attainable housing. Building new homes, ensuring there's adequate, attainable housing is key. I will work alongside the senior levels of government to encourage housing developments. Finance. As Chair of Finance, I know resources are limited and they will need to be deployed wisely and carefully. At budget time, I will ask the hard questions, and he does ask the hard questions. Number six, environment and climate change. I support efforts to preserve the environment and to reduce climate change. I will encourage partnership with the private sector and senior levels of government with an eye to protecting the environment. You will have a dedicated, experienced, and hardworking rep on your city council with Dave. Please support Dave Gaffney at the polls.
Thank you, Tom. And Tom, thank you for your years of service too. Much appreciated over the years. And yeah. And not that I want to send anybody out because my phone's probably on, but make sure everybody's phone is on mute if you don't mind too, okay? Don Robinson. Come on up, Don. We'll give Don 3 minutes, and then Jeff will get you up here as well. Don, mic is yours.
Hi, my name is Don Robinson. I was born and raised in Stratford. I'm married with 3 kids. I've been in management for 35 years, 4.5 years in federal. I have my own business, and I've owned Stratford Taxi for the last 3 years, Oxford Taxi, Stonetown Taxi, and the Country Airporter. The taxi business, I get to talk to a lot of citizens in Stratford every day and their concerns. I'm running for the citizens of Stratford with the main focus being mental health, policing, transit, and infrastructure. I love to see the Avon Crest building turn into a spot to help the citizens of Stratford with their issues. They could go there, get help, support they need, would also be homeless off the street, and get them out of trying to live in the bus stay shelters and the banks. The Stratford Police then would be freed up to do the calls they need to do. We would have professionals in the mental health field ready to help. Finally, these challenges have existed for years and have become more visible over the last decade or so, but nothing has brought unmet mental health needs more to the front stage than COVID. There are many ways the pandemic has contributed to the challenge for every citizen of Stratford. One example is the pressure and demand on healthcare workers. The Public Health Agency of Canada, the PHAC, has recently invested millions of dollars to prevent healthcare workers' burnout and other challenges that contribute to them leaving the profession. Dr. Patrick Smith, who recently retired from and developed and leading Canada Centre of Excellence, the PTSD for Canada, Veterans First Response, in the Atlas Institute, and a partner in an organization in Australia to develop more injury guide for healthcare workers. This guide has been an institutional in helping the countries that would face organization level, team level, and individual support that can put Canada and Stratford healthcare workers, national, international leaders, mental health, live right here in Stratford and are pledged their support in any way they can to help us meet the needs. I've umpired baseball, refereed hockey, and I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for all their help they did through COVID with the rapid tests for all our employees. And I'd like to thank all the service clubs for all the work they did over COVID. And if elected, I would bring the parades back to Stratford.
Thank you, Don. Thanks, Don. Still to come, we'll get Giza and Harj and Ian up. But right now, Jeff Crowder taking the stage. Jeff, thanks for being here, and you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd here.
Hi, I'm Jeff Crowder. I've been fortunate enough to serve with many groups in our city and work as a community organizer in Stratford. Many of you will have met me on the campaign trail or at a community event. I'm running in this election because I believe we need to be more ambitious in Stratford, especially when it comes to looking out for each other and providing for our future. In this election, the issue is housing. Whether we're talking about homelessness or jobs or climate change or taxes or family doctors, facing down the challenges that we have as a municipality means ensuring that all of us has a stable place to call home. That must mean non-market housing, transitional and co-op housing. The city is considering incentives for developers, but shouldn't we ask what it is we're incentivizing? A community benefits plan would consult with those most concerned before any major project is approved. In some cases, that'll mean mixed-use commercial so that small businesses can thrive, or protecting our tree canopy, or a meaningful reduction in our building emissions. In all cases, it'll mean pushing back against the impulse to put profit ahead of people. Some people will tell you that transparency is the key issue this election, but I would submit to you that, again, the need for transparency comes down to community power. I pledge that I will do what I can to make sure that we improve the way council does business and bring more of that business into the open. If we have a plan that puts the needs of the community first and we prioritize communication, That'll make decisions on issues like the Cooper site, Avencrest, industrial development, and strong public services much clearer. I will only have one vote and one voice on council, but if your priorities are my priorities for Stratford, then I want to work with you to ensure that this is a city we can believe in. I'm Jeff Crowder, and I hope I can earn your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, afterwards you can come and speak with the candidates before we get to the mayor's debate. That'll be coming up at 7 o'clock. Giza Wardhofer, would you like to come up? Giza, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd to get them to your platform. Ladies and gentlemen, Giza Wardhofer.
Thank you. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, community. We are so lucky to be here. We took for granted. I just came 2 weeks ago from Ukraine, from Poland, when I see a committee who invited 25 families in Stratford. How we are lucky to live these wonderful committees. Always, when I see our committees, wonderful, positive. The first respond to Canadian government, to the world, we're bringing Ukrainian family in Stratford. This is what about committee. Thank you for all of you guys who giving us food for this Ukrainian, shelter, water. Now they have a school, they have food, they are working every day because of you. Thank you. My name is Dr. Giza Wardhofer. I'm born and raised Ethiopia. Went to school, Odessa in Ukraine, Moscow, Russia. I'm here. But my Stratford is my hometown. Make me myself, my wife Nicole, my son Aaron. You give me support, you give me help. And that's why I'm doing my volunteer job here. More than 10 years in Stratford. We are the first respond to clean mask in Canada. We clean mask. Our environment, in our area, in our river here. We did that one. And then that one. More than 21,000 people in need, newcomer, we give them ride for COVID test, for vaccine in our area. We are so lucky. We work more than 10, 14 hours per day. Yeah, and I have no any words to say. Thank you for all of you guys. My main goal to build or to do working clinic. Most of our Canadians who born here, they have a working clinic. They go to London or they stay 8 hours in our hospital. We have a wonderful hospital here, but there is no working clinic for 8 hours and then they go to London. Or Listowel, we have no working clinic. Please vote for Giza Wardhofer. That's me. It's a good opportunity to be here. I love this country. I love Canada. I want to work. I want to be here. I'm the part of these communities. Thank you very, very much for all of your support. You helped me. Thank you.
Giza, thank you very much. And still to come, can we get James and Jason to come towards the stage area? Just before we get to Ian. Harsh, do you want to come up to the stage? Harsh Najjar, ladies and gentlemen, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd. Harsh.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Harj Niger, and I am running for City Council to make Stratford a better place for everyone. Having lived in Stratford all my life, I believe the city can do better. I'm an information technology professional and a small business owner. Residents want a councillor that will walk into City Hall, ready to champion their causes, advocate the cities at all levels of government, and always remember their roots. It's time to demand better, Stratford. It starts with the basics: strong city services, good jobs, robust communities. But the goal is bigger than that, to create a vibrant, world-class city that is home to citizens from all over the globe. Our city, which is hardworking, diverse people, demand better infrastructure, better opportunities, and better representation. I will work for you and focus on affordable living, housing, accountability, transparency, integrity in the city, city roads, infrastructure, cutting red tape for faster approvals, and youth and senior programs. On October 24th, please vote Harj Niger. Thank you.
Ian Morton, would you like to come up to the stage? You've got 3 minutes to give us your platform on what you would like to do if elected. Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Morton.
Thank you very much. My name is Ian Morton. Thank you very much for having this amazing evening tonight, chance to hear from all the candidates. I've lived in Stratford for a total of 12 years. Now, I have to be transparent and open. I grew up in Huron County, so I just want that out there right off the bat. I saw the light and came to Perth. But in all seriousness, Stratford drew me to this area. It's such an amazing community. So my family lives here. I've taught for I'm now starting my 23rd year. And 12 of those years have been in Stratford. I've taught for 4 years at Anne Hathaway, where I started my career, and I spent 8 years at Bedford Public School as well. I'm currently teaching in St. Mary's, another lovely community in Perth, teaching grade 7 there. So we've heard all about lots of issues, right? And we're all talking about a lot of the same things. And they're important issues, of course. Transparency. We need a council that is open and engaged with our public. Housing issues. We have a great need for a varied source of housing so that all kinds of families can find places to live. Our public transit needs to be reworked desperately so that it works for the families who rely on it. We need active transportation systems, of course, so people can step out of their vehicles if they choose to and get across Stratford, access the downtown. We need to make sure that we are mitigating our carbon footprint and responding to the climate crisis that we are fully enveloped in. We need to build equity and diversity in our community. We have such a diverse community in so many ways, and we need to keep encouraging that and provide supports and understanding for those people that come from maybe a different path than ourselves. So I am happy to discuss these further. I would love to chat with you at my table. You can look at my website, but I think the most important thing I can do is tell you why me? What can I bring to council? So for 23 years, and probably from before I was teaching, I've been building students up. I've been working to empower them to have a voice, to share ideas, to collaborate, to be open and honest with each other. We work to build community in my classroom. We work to engage our community outside of our classroom. And I think it's really important that this council going forward, no matter who our 10 councillors are and our mayor, they must engage the public, and I pledge that to you. We must make sure that moving forward, everyone's voices are heard, and I feel I can bring that. I can build the community up. I can take your ideas to the council table. I can be your access to council chambers. So I hope that you will consider me. I would love to chat with you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. And once again, please stick around afterwards and talk to the candidates. They're here. They've got their tables set up for you. So please do that before the mayor's debate. James Montgomery, you want to come on up? Thanks for being here. You've got 3 minutes to address our crowd today.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending. My name is James Montgomery, and I'm running to be part of your next City Council. This is an important election as there are at least 5 seats up for grabs, which could drastically change the course of decision-making in the city. But let's start with a little background about myself. Growing up, I lived in Seaforth, Ontario until I graduated high school and left for college. I attended Fanshawe College in London, Ontario, where I received 3 diplomas, one in law and security, one in corporate communications and public relations, and finally in computer programming. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do, but I like school, and apparently spending money. During my time at Fanshawe, I was very active with the student union there. I was fortunate enough to be elected to the position of Vice President of Internal Affairs twice. I moved into Stratford in 2009 to be with my now wife. We married shortly after I graduated in 2011. Professionally, I've worked in the IT industry for a couple of years following college. However, I've found myself in a manufacturing position in which I have worked in for the last 9 years. On top of that, I am a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. I work with youth in a instructor capacity. In my corps, I also am the training officer and the supply officer. And I'm proud to say I found out I will be taking the role of the commanding officer of that corps next month. So with all this going on in my life, why would I want to run for office? Well, the short answer is it's something I've always wanted to do since I've moved to the city. However, as life as there always seems to be, I've always found an excuse not to. Sadly, this changed because my mother-in-law passed away in January. And it occurred to me that if this was something I truly wanted to do, I needed to stop making excuses and pursue it, as there might not be another election cycle to do so. I started this journey with one slogan: make Stratford work for the people again. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, that is what I will spend the next 4 years doing. I will make it my priority to listen to everyone, to bring your concerns to council, and get you the answers that you deserve. As a candidate for City Council, I believe my strengths in communication, leadership, and problem solving make me the perfect choice to represent the citizens of the city. And with that said, I'm asking for your support so that together we can make Stratford work for the people again. Thank you.
James. Before we get to Jason and Jobena, Jody, do you want to come on up? And John Lewis as well. We'll get to you guys in just a few minutes. Jason Davis, would you mind, Kate, taking the stage? And you've got 3 minutes.
Hi guys, my name is Jason Davis. I don't have anything prepared here. I'm just going to get up and talk to you about some things that matter to me. So a little bit about me. I am a husband, father, and 310T diesel technician fixing transport trucks and farm equipment in our municipality. But before that, I was a musician for 11 years, so I kind of hit both the main things that Stratford is. Now, you're going to hear a lot of talk tonight about transparency. I just want to remind everyone that transparency is not a platform. It is just a thing that decent people do. Myself personally, I'm a heart on my sleeve kind of person. I just say how I feel and speak what I think. I don't have any skeletons in my closet. My wife needs the space. Speaking of having very little space, I personally rent, despite my specialization and how physically demanding my job is and the education it requires. I can't afford a home, which brings me to my first point as my priority, which is affordable housing, not only for middle-class families, but also providing shelter for our homeless. I've broken this down into a 3-point plan. The first point is building one communal building that supplies water, showers, bathroom, and then putting tiny homes surrounding it for our homeless. By having water only piped to one building, we can keep costs down. All our homeless can get OW or ODSP. So what they don't get the full amount though, because they don't have an address. So you simply give them that unit number as an address. We as a municipality take the difference and pay, so they get the same amount of money, and we just found a cost-neutral way to provide them with housing. My second plan for housing is to stop selling land to developers and instead maintain ownership as a municipality until the home is ready to be sold, so that we can dictate price points and size so we can build wartime homes again. Once the homes are built, in order for them to avoid market manipulation, it is done on a lottery system where a family applies. Do you currently reside in Stratford? Can you afford this home? Do you currently or have you ever owned property? If you pass this, then one of the houses will be given to you based on the lottery system. It will not go to market. It will not have inflation from investors. It will not have bidding wars. The third part is the only part that's not for profit or cost neutral. That's a reintegration center, and that is a long-term goal of mine. My second priority is to increase our availability and affordability of childcare. Right now, we have a shortage of workers, and we're not going to be able to get many if we don't have anywhere to put their kids. And my third thing is public transportation. I have been open about every step and how I plan to achieve my goals on my social media. You can find that at Jason Davis for Stratford City Council. My email is jason310t@gmail, and my personal phone number is 226-938-7454. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks very much. Jobena Palath. Jobena, do you want to come on up? This is Jobena Palath, and you have got 3 minutes to address the crowd and give us your platforms if elected. Jobena?
I'm a little short. My name is Jobena Palath, and I'm running for a councillor position on the Stratford City Council. A little background information about myself. My parents immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and early 70s. My mother worked as a nurse in the Stratford General Hospital, and my father worked for Schaeffler, formerly FAG Bearings, until his retirement. My parents helped instill in me a very strong work ethic. They told me, things will not be handed to you. If you want something, you have to work for it. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I was born and raised in Stratford. I received my education in Stratford. I'm a graduate of St. Michael's Secondary Catholic School. I was married in Stratford, bought my first home in Stratford, got married in Stratford, and I plan to retire in Stratford. I have a deep sense of gratitude towards this city. It has provided me and afforded me everything that I have now. I've been married for the last 13 years to my loving husband, Sean. Dogs have always been a big part of our life, and right now we have 2 massive dogs at home. We're also active in social media. For the last 26 years, I've been employed at Schaeffler Canada Aerospace. At present, I'm a quality inspector and representative for the Employee Committee. The Employees Committee has allowed me to hone my skills of compromise, leadership, and informed decision-making. Helping and serving my fellow employees fills me with great pride and has left me with the desire to do more for my community. This would be why I'm running for council. Infrastructure, affordable housing, homelessness, families in need, and the state of our residential roads are important issues that are affecting the residents of Stratford. I would like to be a voice for the people and help bring transparency and accountability for the decisions that will be made in Stratford. Working in the manufacturing sector, I believe that we need representation of regular people all the time. The ones that live here year-round and support the city year-round. One of the most common questions that I have been asked is, why have I decided to run for council? Everything seems to be going great for me my way. Because I believe that everybody should have a voice in decisions that are being made. I believe that you, the people of Stratford, should always have a say in what we do. Decisions that have to be made should be made together. I don't have all the answers, but I am willing to listen to the ideas of others and try and help make those ideas become a reality. Thank you for considering me as part of the future of City Council. Vote for Jobena Palath on October 24th. If you have any questions, I have a table in the back, and I will be staying around to answer some questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jobena. And once again, for any other candidates coming up, we do have a floor mic if you do wish for that, okay? Before we get to Joe, John Lewis is coming up shortly. Kenwood, can we get you to the stage? And ladies and gentlemen, Jody Burback has got the floor for the next 3 minutes. Jody?
Thank you, Eddie, and good evening, everyone. My name is Jody Burback, and I'm running in this election because my experience as a city councillor, a business owner, and an active volunteer makes me a great candidate to successfully serve our Stratford community. I believe that the first priority for council is to continue to work on affordability, making sure that people of all ages, abilities, and incomes can afford to live here, work here, and enjoy the many things that Stratford has to offer. While we need to focus on affordability issues, especially housing, We also need to ensure that the services that we offer and the many assets that we care for are maintained or enhanced. Stratford has declared a climate emergency, and addressing this crisis is a major priority for me. The city has hired a climate coordinator and is currently developing a climate action plan. And I believe that Council needs to be ensuring that we take measurable action on GHG emission reductions while also supporting sustainable economic growth. Applying a climate lens to our official plan update, encouraging active transportation, creating new programs that will help us to reduce GHG emissions as a community are some of my climate action priorities. I also believe that equity and inclusion are very important lenses for Council to use when making decisions. It's my goal to continue to reach out to people who are not often invited to the table, to understand what their priorities, challenges, and barriers are, and to work together to make Stratford a more inclusive community. We are currently at the first stages of creating a municipal cultural plan and have recently hired a manager of diversity, equity, and Indigenous initiatives, as well as an accessibility coordinator. These are good first steps towards creating a more inclusive community, but there's much more to be done. In conclusion, I believe that I'm an approachable, reasonable, and fair-minded person, and in the past 23 years, I've been very involved with our community and have had the honor of meeting many of you. I enjoy engaging with people and bringing their ideas forward, and I'm always willing to have a conversation with you. I have an in-depth understanding of how municipal government works and how the three levels of government intersect, which is important for anyone seeking this role. It's been an honor to be a city councillor for the past 4 years, and I would like the opportunity to continue to serve you as city councillor. My name is Jody Burback, and I have a table at the back, and I'd love to talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
Jody. And please, I encourage everybody to stick around afterwards and speak with the individual candidates. One of the reasons we chose this format, last time we had 24, 25 candidates that we were trying to debate with, and as you can imagine, it was a bit of a mess. This time we want you to go and address the people immediately and right after this is done in that. Kevin's all set to go shortly, but right now, John Lewis, would you like to come up to the stage, sir?
Hello. As a longtime resident of Stratford, I've felt the need to run for council to help change the direction the city is in. One of the biggest challenges facing Stratford is the lack of affordable housing. This problem is driving young people and workers to leave the city because they can no longer afford to live here. The city is going to have to get more directly involved in building affordable housing. This is not a problem that will be solved by the market. Private builders are not in the business to build affordable housing, they're in the business to make profits. And they make more profits building large, expensive homes and luxury condos, which you can see all around this building. Because of this, Stratford has more than enough housing for the rich, but a shortage of housing for anyone else. Stratford should look to cities in Europe to solve this problem. To deal with the increasing effects of climate change, the city has to do more than just declare a climate emergency and basically do nothing else. The city should start electrifying its fleet of vehicles. The city should also stop new subdivisions from being hooked up to natural gas. This is something several cities in BC are already doing. Cities, including Toronto and Ottawa, have also set up funds to make no-interest loans to people to install electric heat pumps and solar panels and have them paid back on their utility bills, something we could do through Festival Hydro. The city also needs to be more creative, or needs to create a more walkable community. Major streets in this city are being redeveloped with no bike paths or improved pedestrian infrastructure. People talk about wanting to keep taxes low. In that case, we need to look at the largest budget line in the city's budget. That's police spending. The city's per capita police spending, adjusted for inflation, has doubled since the 1980s, and the officer to population ratio has drastically increased. How many people here know that the Stratford Police Department owns an armored personnel carrier? Why? We nickel and dime every other city department, why not the police? If elected, I would call for a review of police spending. Savings from this could be spent instead on social services like affordable housing, mental health, and drug addiction treatments, which would probably do more to lower crime rates than more spending on an already bloated police budget. Many residents of Stratford feel that the city cares more about the festival and the tourists than the people that live here year-round. This was on display when the new Tom Patterson Theatre was built. The city allowed the senior center to be demolished without any plans for a new permanent center being in its place.
Thank you, John. John, time is up.
Well, okay, don't get me wrong. Okay.
Thank you, John. John Lewis. You got to watch the clock, folks. Still to come, Kevin, Larry, and Leslie, but coming up to the stage right now, Ken Wood. You've got 3 minutes to address the crowd and tell us your platform. Ken.
First of all, I got to say, I'm from Winnipeg, and in grade 6, for the first time ever, I had to do a public speaking in front of the class. I fainted and ended up at the school nurse, so I think I've come a long way. I am 73 years old. I moved here in 2014. I've lived in a whole bunch of cities. Winnipeg, which is known as the Friendly City. We have it on our license plate. And Montreal, Toronto, Hockley Village was 60 people, so a number of other places. And I learned an awful lot because I'm interested in politics. I have a degree in political science from the University of Manitoba. I took psychology. I always wanted to know what made people tick. And politics seemed like the right way to go, just to find out what was happening. I have been, for those of you not on social media, I have been a thorn in the side of the present council for about 8 years. I have watched virtually every meeting they've had. I'm a bit of a wonk that way. I followed everything. I looked at the research reports, I looked at the background documents, made many deputations, and I have a lot of ideas to fix things, but I don't really want to talk about platform today because it's all over social media, the internet. You can link to a lot of good stuff at the Stratford Public Library. I always like to put a plug in for them. You get on their site and you can look at everybody's stories or whatever. I want to talk about values because to me, when you elect somebody, you want to find out the values of that person. That's my significant other over there, thank you. I believe in a lot of things, and very interestingly, I did this just as a project. Knight and Clay did a thing where you could make little ceramic things and basically put down things. I thought, I'm going to make a values table. What do I think my values are? And what do I aspire to? So I'm not perfect. If anybody looks at my table that's over there, you can probably see one of them that's misspelled. It's humility. I believe in honesty, openness. I believe in being accountable for actions. I believe I have 1 minute left. I believe that we've got to be honest with people. And to me, I've always strived to be authentic. I don't know if I'm ever going to make it. But I think honesty is the bedrock of that. And I try to be very clear in what I want. Now, my faults, because nobody's perfect, are that I'm struggling to be kind. When I get upset with something in politics, I'm a bit of a social justice warrior. And I will attack and I will charge. And I will really push for things. I've got great oversight abilities and research abilities. But I want to work more on cooperating and working with people. I love this whole campaign because I've met a lot of good people. I have 15 seconds. You have a lot of great candidates to choose from. I encourage you to look at their backgrounds. We need diversity on city council, and we need people with ideas that are willing to work together. And I'm certainly one of those people. Thank you. Vote for Ken Wood. That's me.
And this is being taped by Rogers, which will be shown at a future date, and we'll make sure we get that out to the media when that's coming up soon. Still to come, Larry's coming up, Leslie, and Kevin Krasumich. Kevin, come on up. Good to see you. You've got 3 minutes to address the crowd.
Thanks, Eddie. Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin Kruskowicz. My wife, Sarah Jean, and I moved here to Stratford just about exactly 10 years ago. Some of you may know me as an actor at the festival. Others may know me as your friendly neighborhood handyman. I've worked on some of your decks. More of you may know me as a candidate in the last federal election. Now, my wife, Sarah Jean, you may know her as an actor and director at the Here For Now Festival. Or you may know her as an owner-operator of a lovely little boutique down on York Street. I don't say this to advertise how busy we are or anything like that. I say this to show you what this community has afforded us. It has afforded us the opportunity to grow in surprising ways. We never thought we'd be here, and we are so thrilled that we are, and that's what I want to give back. I want to give everyone in this city and this city itself the opportunity to grow in surprising ways. Now, I want to tell you what my priorities will be to help us all get there. Affordable, sustainable, accessible housing created through inclusionary zoning, responsible partnerships, and incentives for developers who meet strict, sustainable guidelines. I want to help those experiencing homelessness using the Housing First model. Now, in a nutshell, the Housing First model is moving people experiencing homelessness rapidly from the streets or shelters into long-term, stable housing with supports if they decide they need them. Now, the City of Stratford is already working on that on a smaller scale with a program called Sustainable Housing of Perth Programs. I want to look into expanding that so it becomes inclusive for everyone. We need to do more in battling the climate crisis. We need to bake into our official plan green standards. Now, we need to make a lot of changes when it comes to making our city sustainable. How do we pay for it? Well, I think we need to explore green bonds, municipal green bonds, where we can all invest in our own future. We're going to talk about the Cooper site, of course. Everyone wants to talk about the Cooper site. It's a great opportunity for a multi-phase sustainable development. The first step is striking a task force. Finally, what I want to talk about is creating a local arts council. We're big enough and we're strong enough now that we need art by Stratford for Stratford. We need a non-governmental organization that is going to fund and foster culture here. Those are our priorities. Now I want to give you a promise. This is my promise to you. This is a guarantee. This is the only thing I can guarantee you. Is that I will listen to you, all of you, with humility, and I will act and lead with compassion. Thank you.
If we can get Mark to come up, we'll get to him shortly. Leslie, and ladies and gentlemen, Larry McCabe, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd. Thanks for coming tonight.
Good evening. It's heartening to see such a good turnout for the event tonight. Thank you, Eddie, for hosting this. My name is Larry McCabe. I grew up in Stratford on Willow Street. My father, the other Larry McCabe, is here with me tonight. My wife, Fiona Mongelo, the artistic director of Here For Now Theatre Company. I have lived in Stratford for most of my life. I opened up a business, Patso, 24 years ago. I've seen a lot of changes here. And obviously the pandemic has hit this community fairly hard in the sense that people weren't allowed to go out, allowed to see each other. There's a little bit of a breakdown in our community. Older people in our community not being able to get out and seeing some deterioration there. It's time for us to get back out and get healthy again. Part of the reason that I am running for council is because I am concerned about the climate crisis. I was concerned to see what happened in BC last year when we hit the highest temperature ever recorded in North America and the town burnt to the ground the next day. It is time for action on that front, and I would certainly be happy to support the efforts of the climate coordinator. That position is very important for the city. I also think that we have a huge opportunity with the Cooper site to develop a neighborhood of the future, something that can support the tax base here. Without support on our tax base, we will continue to struggle to maintain key positions in the city. And we need to also think in terms of the demographic challenges that the city faces. We are 6 years older than the population at large, which means that we do not have a workforce. I see this every day in the businesses that I work with, and we are going to be challenged to maintain our city at this level if we don't start solving that issue. We cannot be growing out into the countryside. We have the best farmland in the country. We need to think about growing taller and building units that are smaller for a younger workforce who wants to stay here. There is opportunity around the change that has happened from work from home to have a more equitable demographic mix here. And also we have to become a welcoming community. Diversity in the population in Ontario is growing. We need to see that happening here in Stratford. I hope that you can support me in this election. I hope to work for you to make a better city. And I think that we can be a remarkable community. And that's my intention if I get on council. Thank you.
You can hear me. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Leslie Bean, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd. Leslie?
Thank you. My name is Leslie Bean, and I've lived in Stratford for most of my life. And I'm running for City Council to listen and to serve. I have worked for over 18 years in Stratford's downtown core, so I have a passion to see small businesses thrive. As a councillor, it would be my goal to assist them where they need it, but just stay out of the way where they don't. I have helped business owners connect with resources needed from upper levels of government through researching and finding timely information, such as available grants and funding for their businesses. For the past 5 years, I have served on the board of our federal member of parliament, and I also have provincial experience. I helped organize and host nonpartisan events in Ottawa, and I've had the opportunity to speak with many MPs of all parties. At the municipal level, I believe that this experience will help me work with the mayor and council to access the resources available both provincially and federally. The previous provincial government promised Stratford $10 million to help develop the Grand Trunk property, and the federal government was willing to match that. Well, we need this property developed. Our senior community is waiting on us to fulfill this promise, so we need to get this done. When it comes to resources, I believe that respecting your hard-earned money is one of the best ways to ensure affordability over the long term. I will work with council to continue to bring affordable and attainable housing to Stratford. I want my adult children to move back to Stratford, but they need to be able to earn a living and afford a home. This is part of my long-term vision for Stratford, to keep the cost of living low as we can, so that Stratford remains a desirable city for young families. People that are experiencing homelessness need us to collaborate with one another and offer them solutions. One thing I have learned over the last year working with an individual is that our city and province provide programs that really do work. We need to help people get connected, and that is one way that we can help. We as council need to keep the pressure on the province to provide essential resources for proper accommodations. These are real people with real stories. They are not just an issue for us to fix. As a mother, an author of a children's book, and leader in the community, I know that it takes hard work to get things accomplished. You have to be organized, persistent, and selfless. And I realize that the present mayor and council have made some mistakes, but I want to use my time to thank them for all the hard work they've done for our city. So they've brought us the RBC Data Center, the new Tom Patterson Theatre, they have brought the University of Waterloo campus, and the affordable housing complex on Britannia Street. So I thank you, Mayor Matheson and the council, for all your hard work and all of your time serving our city. In closing, I will listen to your concerns and work hard on your behalf to keep Stratford the kind of city in which you can prosper so that you can invest in the next generation. I respectfully ask for you to vote Leslie Bean for City Council. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. We've got 29 candidates. A few weren't able to make it because of conflicts or illness, but I'm glad you're able to participate and meet some of the people, including our next one. Mark Hunter, good to see you. You've got 3 minutes to address the crowd. Mark?
Thank you.
My name is Mark Hunter, and like everyone else, I too am running for City Council. I live here with my wife Denise, who's in the crowd somewhere, and our 2 daughters, Laura and Sarah, who are completing their post-secondary education. My day job, I'm the president and in-house legal counsel for Hunter Steele. I have more than 25 years of legal and business management experience, and I think that that would be an asset on City Council. The issue which started my campaign was the state of the roads in Stratford. But as I looked into it more, my concern grew about the state of our infrastructure in general. I believe we need a concentrated effort to ensure that our entire infrastructure is good not just for today, but for the future as well. For example, one of our climate change strategies is to transition from fossil fuels to electric power. We need to make sure we have an electric grid that can handle increased electricity flowing through it. A second area of interest to me is the development of the Cooper site. There have been a lot of great ideas expressed. I know the community has a lot of ideas that are, and many of them are fantastic. One that I think needs to be included is the senior center, because a promise made must be kept. And I don't want to burden anybody with what I think should be done with the Cooper site, because I think that needs to be a community generated response. But I think we have an opportunity to develop that site with a mix of private and public interest, and so that we can have a number of public spaces that don't add burden to the taxpayers. The last thing I wanted to speak about was the public trust issue, which I know a number of people have addressed. I'm not sure that anything untoward has happened in our city, but there's definitely a perception that the current council's been very secretive. And I think we can fix that with better communication, and that it needs to be not just a one-way communication, but a dialogue. And I'll wrap up quickly. If I am elected, what I will promise is that I will work hard with honesty and integrity and respect for your tax dollars. I will serve this city to the best of my ability, and that's why I hope that this October you'll vote for me, Mark Hunter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And as we get down to the remainder of the list, and that's still to come, Rob, Ryan, Taylor, and Tim, if you want to come up to the stage. And ladies and gentlemen, Rob Russell. Good to see you. You've got 3 minutes to address the crowd. Rob.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Great crowd tonight. So my name is Rob Russell, and I am also running for Stratford City Council. There is a few of us. Just a little background on myself. I've lived in Stratford for 20 years with my spouse, Carolyn. We purchased the family business 15 years ago. We have 2 daughters, both attending Stratford Secondary School. And I am also a volunteer and board member on several different great community organizations, such as the Downtown Stratford BIA, Destination Stratford, and the Rotary Club of Stratford. So, why vote for me? I love working with others to achieve common goals for the betterment of the community. I love when someone else comes up with a great idea and I can actually help them to move it forward and really work with them to champion that cause. I have some pretty good ideas too, just don't ask my kids. But they can't vote yet, so I'm not worried about that. Watching the recent debate videos that Ballin and Today Stratford did, I just found there was a lot of fantastic ideas thrown around, and I'd like to be a part of moving those forward. The biggest challenge, in my opinion, is how do we get to yes? So, envisioning solutions is important, but implementing them is equally as important. We need to build bridges continuously build and maintain bridges with the community, as a council, and with the city staff, who are often leaders in implementing these new ideas. So, how we get to yes. Hearing and addressing the challenges at every level is how we get to yes. Making sure everyone on the journey feels informed, included, and heard is how we get to yes. So I hope that you'll help me help you get to yes, and vote for Rob Russell.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks very much. And as we continue in alphabetical order, first names, Rob Williamson. Come to the stage. We'll give you 3 minutes to address the crowd, Rob.
Thank you. I'll take these off so I can see. Hello, my name is Rob Williamson, and I'm running for a seat on City Council. Closer? Okay. Hello, my name is Rob Williamson, and I'm running for a seat on City Council. First, I'd like to thank the organizers and the sponsors of this event for having us. I'd also like to thank my fellow citizens who are putting themselves out there to run for council, and I wish them the best of luck. After graduating from Lakehead University, I was fortunate enough to go to St. Louis for a position with the American Youth Foundation as an outdoor educator and wilderness guide. I got to work with youth as a leader of survival and outdoor living, and we would teach them how to be better with our environment through outdoor education. While I was in St. Louis, I trained as an EMT and a wilderness EMT. Upon my return to Canada, I began my career in agriculture as a turkey producer, and I'm now a farm manager for the last 8 years. I'm a firm believer in helping out the community with which I live, and this is why I was a volunteer firefighter for 10 years with the Elmira Fire Department, and I've also trained as a paramedic at Trillium University. I understand the importance of giving a helping hand to those in this world that might need it. A few years ago, I helped a young man from Africa come to Canada by supplying the funding for his way here. He stayed with me and worked with me for a year while he was completing the necessary paperwork to become a citizen. I'm very proud to have been a very small part in helping this gentleman make his dream come true and know that he now lives in Ontario, married with children. Homelessness and addiction are a couple of the other issues I've heard a lot about during this election. As someone who has had a close family member that dealt with both of these, I hope to work closely with the community to come up with solutions and resources to give those struggling the opportunity to seek the help that they need. I sit on the executive board of the Tavistock Rod and Gun, where I'm the chief range officer and teach firearm safety courses. With my firearms license, my security guard license, and my Nexus Pass, I'm vetted at all levels of law enforcement, including the U.S. Homeland Security. I'm proud to live in the beautiful and diverse community of Stratford, along with my wife. I'm a hardworking citizen who believes that the council is the voice of the people and hope to be one of those 10 chosen to work for you. No one can be an expert on everything, but I will give my word that I will study, research every issue so I can make an informed decision. I'm ready to work together with the other councillors, mayors, and most important, the citizens, because your voice deserves to be heard. Never underestimate the power of your vote, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. Vote for Rob Williamson. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for keeping it to 3 minutes. I appreciate that. Ryan Doyle, come on up to the stage as we start to wrap things up before we get to the mayors in about 35 minutes or so. Ryan, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you. And first, I'd like to thank the Stratford District Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's event. I am Ryan Doyle. I am running for City Council. I was born and raised in Stratford. I own my own home here. And I am the president of my condo, which I've been the president of for the past 7 years, where I champion creating a reserve fund, that's a word called capital budget, and a 30-year reserve fund plan. During the day, I work as a systems IT designer at Wilfrid Laurier University. My platform highlights are increased transparency between council and the citizens of Stratford. Be fiscal responsible with taxpayer money to avoid sticker shock levies, such as the 7.8% levy that was just recently passed for 2022, which personally translated into a 10% hike in my property tax. We must find a balance of being progressive in Stratford and the city's operating and capital budgets. We need to be mindful of taxpayer money going forward, as we are all recovering from the pandemic lockdowns and the current challenges with raging inflation. I will lobby MPP Matthew Ray and MP John Nader in our city to work together to get our fair share of the recent federal government's affordable housing funding that was announced in September. The business of Stratford do provide a good wage. However, due to the free real estate market going out of whack in Stratford, I think we need to really focus on building affordable housing. And I would like to take part of that the master plan for the Grand Trunk, where there's actually visions on there where the apartment buildings will be built. And I want to use our federal money for affordable housing to build an apartment building there. We need people to live on that site. That will start the initiative to start building in that community. This will attract also talented workers for various industries that support Stratford, like nurses, like people that work in manufacturing, PSWs and whatnot. And I'd like to continue to work towards working with partners like UW to build that fall-winter economy that we're missing in this town. For climate change, let's think about electrifying Stratford and city transit. We're thinking microbuses like what they have at Quebec City and the city of St. John's in Canada and the different parts of Europe. And let's think about how we can decrease our demand on the electricity by putting up solar panels on roofs, wind, also solar canopies, and creating more large charging stations. There is a lot to do while balancing the budget and mindful of taxpayers' money. If you would like to learn more about me, please go to ryandoyle.ca. Thank you and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks so much. The final three we're coming up to now. And Taylor, if you want to come up to the stage, Taylor Briscoe, you've got 3 minutes to address the crowd.
Thank you so much for creating this forum today, and thank you for all of you for being so engaged and here to hear from all of us. So my name is Taylor Briscoe. You may or may not know our grandparents, Norm and Frida, who had a long history of service in Stratford, and it's one that I'm proud to continue. Who am I? I started my career focused on service. When I was 16, I went on my first mission trip to Uganda, and it sparked a career in international humanitarian affairs. I started my career at Canadian National Defence as a policy and security analyst, setting up our cyber defenses. From there, I seconded to the UN, where I was part of their peacekeeping mission. I've worked extensively around the world fighting for good governance, for transparency, for human rights, and basic dignity for all. When I was there with the UN, I ended up going back to law school, so I'm a lawyer by trade, don't hold it against me. And from there, I went back to the UN and represented torture victims. I clerked for the UN court for Sierra Leone, where we tried the Blood Diamond trials. From there, I went on to trying the Arab Spring cases at the European Court of Human Rights. During 2019, 2020, I was on my path to change the world, and then the world changed. My husband and I had a forced pause. He's a touring musician. Obviously, that wasn't happening. I was down in Atlanta finishing my PhD, and I felt that call to serve again. And we had to make the decision of where do we go next? Where is our calling? And we decided to come home. And Stratford is home. It's our chosen home. It's where we're going to raise our 1-year-old son. And it's the community I want to make a difference in. I have an extensive set of skills. Right now, I'm proud to be the lead government representative for the Salvation Army in Ontario. I'm at the front lines every single day creating affordable housing across our province. So when we talk about affordable housing, I'm one of the leading advocates that the province turns to ask, what do we do? I can answer those questions, and I want to bring those innovative solutions and partnerships to Stratford. I'm an advocate for mental health. My own family's been touched by it. I lost my father to addiction and suicide. And to all of you in this room right now that has a loved one going through it or going through it yourself, I see you, I hear you, and I'm a safe place on this council. I need to increase those services in our city, especially for our youth. The demographics of our city are changing, and we need to ensure that everyone feels supported for all. And most importantly, I want to increase diverse representation on our council. A goal for me, if I'm not going to win this time, that every woman in this room says, I can do what she did, I can get up there next time, and I'm going to run next time. That's a win for me. And so that's why I'm running. I have the passion, I have the skill set, I have the creativity, and I would be so honored to represent you. Thank you.
Taylor Briscoe. As we get to the final two, Tim Forrester, take to the stage, please. You've got 3 minutes to address the crowd.
This is a great event. Thank you for hosting it, and thank you everybody for holding in there. It's almost over. I have a confession. I was not born here. My wife Barb and I chose to live in Stratford. But before Stratford, I had a lifetime of community service. I was the charter president of the Rotary Club, a vice president of the Agricultural Society. I was on the foundation board that built the hospice. I was also a member of the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and on the board. I am celebrating 30 years as an insurance agent. I build long-term relationships and trust. I work part-time at the Stratford Festival in accommodations. I know the challenges we have with regards to affordable rental accommodations. The festival's emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion has also helped me grow as an individual. All of Stratford deserves to be representative. I am unique. I have municipal experience by assisting Barb's in her role as Caledon's regional councillor. I know how councillors work and how they can have an impact by sharing communities, values, and history with staff. Residents want a councillor who listens, values communities' involvement, and takes your concerns seriously. Last council term saw many groups challenge council decisions. I understand that frustration. I've personally taken a developer to the OMB over a handshake land deal. We need to end secret meetings, an absence of meaningful consultation that have defined the way Stratford Council currently behaves. I hope that changes. We need to build respect back for the public. Stratford has many challenges and opportunities. Knocking on doors, you have told me about homelessness, housing, roads, climate change, opportunities at the Cooper site, Avon Crest, but mostly what you want is more communication. I talk to everyone, and more importantly, I listen as well. My commitment is to push for more open and transparent council. Procedural bylaws need to be revised, and the culture at the city needs to change. Stratford, it's your responsibility to elect a council who works for you. You need to hold us accountable. And tonight we've seen a lot of great people up here, and I'd really like to be on your team with them. Thank you very much. I'm Tim Forster, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you, Tim. And our final candidate before we take a break and get to the mayor's debate, Tom Drake, would you like to take to the stage? You've got 3 minutes to address the crowd.
I'm a lifelong resident of Stratford who feels our current council has not made the progress we expected. We can do better making decisions to improve the long-term quality of life in Stratford. We need to be proactive, not reactive, in the development of the Grand Trunk site and other properties like Avon Crest and the old Archives building. Council needs to establish a framework first for designing what we want to see, and then don't react after it's too late, which is what's been happening now. Council could save time and money in our public works department by doing more work in-house. With our own city equipment and staff, we could repair roads before they degrade into poor condition, and we could refurbish the buildings we already own on a regular schedule. I'd also like to see Stratford City Hall become more user-friendly for ordinary citizens. Let's make it easier to ask questions and get advice and be heard when we have suggestions. Our local economy needs stable year-round jobs, paying decent wages in a healthy mix of businesses. Ideally, we want more light industrial operations, such as 3D printing businesses, fabrication of medical supplies, items requiring craftsmanship and skilled artisans, supply and installation of new and green building products. And we also need a strong farm-related robotic equipment and drone manufacturing business. Each of us must do something to combat climate change. So I see opportunities to switch to electric vehicles, generate our own green energy, and mandate new net zero builds. We need more charging stations in both public and private lots. There's also space around all the stormwater ponds for windmills and solar panels. And furthermore, we need to encourage homeowners to plant more trees on private property to cool our houses in the summertime. Like you, I worry for people without a home. Any new housing built these days will be unaffordable because of the high cost of labor and materials. Instead, let's focus on reopening and renovating older buildings. I envision a program where City Hall steps in to cover security deposits and an occasional shortfall in rent to encourage landlords to get back into the long-term rental business for lower income tenants. And if City Hall staff would assist these landlords in dealing with the Landlord and Tenant Board, that would be another incentive for the problem that exists. My background in science, economics, and healthcare has been good in... Thank you,
Tom Drake. Thank you, everyone. You know, we've had 29 candidates that you can choose from, and some terrific people. And I give anybody credit for taking that step forward to make that decision to try to run for council. Check out Ballaran. They've got great profiles as well. We're going to take a break.